All right. Hello and welcome everyone to this FPIES Masterclass. Some of you may be familiar with FPIES and some of you may be brand new to it. So FPIES stands for Food Protein-Induced Enterocolitis Syndrome, and it is a rare food allergy. And before we really get going, I'm going to wait just a few minutes for the emails and notifications to be sent out. And throughout this masterclass, I encourage you to be interactive and to kind of let us know what your experiences are, where you are on your journey. And I also want you to look around and see how many other people there are that are going through this right now with you as well. Because that feeling of community and support is so crucial to know that you're not alone. And I want you to know that there is help and there is support for you as well. And I also invite you to share as much or as little as you feel comfortable with. And again, for those who are watching live, you can do #live. And if you are watching from now through May 5th, 2024, that is going to encompass National FPIES Day on May 4th. For those who stay with me to the end, you get an extra bonus. And again, this is going to expire on May 5th, 2024. So if you're watching live or recently, make sure you watch to the end for that. And for those who are watching the replay, go ahead and do #replay and let us know where you're watching from. Because what I've found is that the global FPIES community is huge. There are so many people that are experiencing this and are on this journey. And they may not be in your immediate circles or your immediate neighborhoods. And it's so important to know that we are all together in this. So myself personally, I am now in Massachusetts in the northeastern US. I also see clients in person and in Connecticut, and I also work virtually with everyone all over the world. So I've seen, FPIES families throughout the US. I've worked with them in Canada, throughout Europe, and Hong Kong is probably my most exotic location that I've connected with. So go ahead and let me know in the comments, where you're from, because more than likely you may actually bump into someone that's not too far from you. And I'm going to share a whole bunch of my story as I go, but that was a lot of my experience. So of all people, my organic local farmer, Darren, who's a dear friend of mine, my daughter was a little over a year at this point, and I was talking with him at the farmer's market about, the challenges and how hard it was. And I was breastfeeding at the time. So if you're breastfeeding, the added layer of complexity that adds. And as I'm telling him this, he's going, you know what, I think I know someone with this. And I'm going, what do you mean? So he introduced me to this woman whose daughter was a year older than mine, going through this exact journey. And it was divine timing. She was the first person to really listen to me, to know what I was going through, know the challenges, know the experience of it, the stress, the mental load. And I remember, for the first time meeting her and just talking to her with tears streaming down my eyes. And that was such a healing moment, recognizing that I was not alone in this and that there were others who knew what I was going through, who have been through this as well. And I'm here to offer you that as well as this whole community. So again, that's why I really encourage you to interact. And Christiana, if you are watching, thank you so much. And I love you. This is the reason why I'm here with all of you. And so again, interact as much as you feel comfortable to. And let me know in the comments if you yourself have FPIES, because this affects teens and adults as well. Let me know if you're a mom or a dad, a caregiver of a little one with FPIES, or if you're a friend or family member, or if you're a practitioner. And in the comments, let me know how old you are when you're going on this journey, right? And how old you were maybe when you first got diagnosed. And again, if you're a parent, how old your little one is. This helps me just get more information so that I know what resources will be helpful and what to create to support you. And then again, let me know how long you've been on your FPIES journey, or are you just starting out? Us personally, we're 6.5 years in, and we are so much on the other side of it. And again, our experience and our journey, I'm going to share as I go as well. And then if you are breastfeeding, put breastfeeding in the comments. I have so many resources for you. When I was going through this journey, I didn't see many breastfeeding resources and I felt completely lost. And I created so many. So I have free workshops, I have resources, I have videos, I have trainings, please put breastfeeding in the comments and I will reach out and I will give you all of those. So as we get going here, I want you to know that I will be referencing my notes, but please do put questions and comments in the chat and I'll make sure to come back and read and answer all of them personally. And I'll give you lots of resources depending on your needs. And then this is just a disclaimer that this masterclass is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not medical advice. Make sure that you check with your provider and work with a practitioner before making any changes. All right, so let's dive into it. Are you curious about discovering what FPIES is? Or maybe you're a parent, a caregiver, a family member, or a friend of a baby or child who is diagnosed with FPIES, or you believe that may have this condition. Or maybe you're an adult who suspects that you have FPIES and you want more information, or you've been diagnosed. Or maybe you're a provider whose patients have brought up FPIES and you want to learn more. You are in the right place. FPIES is a rare food allergy, and the abbreviation stands for food protein-induced enterocolitis syndrome. And as a mom of a little one with FPIES, a practitioner, and a mentor, I understand the challenges of getting answers and support when dealing with food allergies and FPIES, keeping yourself or your little one safe, working through the breastfeeding or formula challenges when they're little, figuring out what to eat, how to avoid triggers, how to manage reactions, sleepless nights, pain, and the guilt that comes up when your child does have a reaction or if you slip up. It's hard, and I want to validate that, but I don't want you to get stuck. And I know how you feel. I've been there personally, and as we go, I'm going to share a lot more about our journey. I also want to give you hope because you will get through this too, and you and your child will thrive. And if you're an adult going through this, I want you to know that you will thrive too. I invite you to put your hand on your heart and really feel that. Know that it is possible for you. Take this moment and just feel that within your body, that it is possible for me and my child, if that applies, to thrive on this journey. Feel that within you. I know this because I've been there. My daughter's been there, and dozens of clients that I've worked with have been there as well. My daughter was one of the most sensitive that our practitioners that we finally found have ever seen. And personally, we went from a list of over 40 triggers with pretty severe reactions to a handful with much milder reactions, and the progress continues. That's why I've dedicated years to uncovering the actual underlying root causes of FPIES and food allergies and discovered how to address them holistically for healing so that you don't have to waste time on trial and error like I did. And if you're a practitioner, they don't teach this approach in school. It took me years of trial and error, even after my doctorate, residency, and fellowship, working with various mentors, learning and applying different techniques and strategies and approaches to fine-tune this system. And I'm excited to get the word out and to help even more people heal and achieve this radiant health. And I'm also offering a new mentorship for people who want to be practitioners or current practitioners to discover how they can use the system to get even better results for themselves, their families, and also clients, patients, how to save time and resources and make a profound impact on the world. Put a practitioner in the comments if this is you, if you are interested in learning about becoming a practitioner or getting this training. And I also invite you to take a moment and share this masterclass with anyone else who may be infected on this FPIES journey with you. So this may be family and friends that you just want to have a better understanding of the severity or the importance of FPIES. Or maybe it is someone that you know that's going through this as well. Share this masterclass. Please share this hope and support and help with others. So through this experience and my daughter's journey with FPIES and food allergies, along with my own journey of overcoming digestion struggles, food allergies, autoimmune issues, and more, I've developed the Radiant Health Protocol. It's a revolutionary system with 6 pillars that addresses the underlying root causes of FPIES, food allergies, and any other health conditions that you may be affected with. And this empowers you to address the root causes, to thrive, and live an amazing life. Put a 1 in the comments if you want that. So in this masterclass, what we're going to do is we're going to go in depth on the 6 pillars and how they relate to FPIES specifically. I'm going to share our FPIES journey and story. You're going to get valuable insights and strategies that have been refined over years of research and practice. You're going to get a deeper understanding of FPIES. You're going to discover the signs and symptoms to look out for, as well as contributing factors. You're going to explore differentiation from other types of food allergies. We're going to learn practical management strategies, and you're going to get encouragement and support from someone who's already walked this path before and emerged stronger on the other side. And make sure you watch to the end, where I cover frequently asked questions, I address myths, and you're going to get tips sprinkled throughout the entire masterclass. At the end, I'm also going to extend an invitation to you for those who want support on this journey. This is a discounted support package, a whole month, where those who want to skip the mistakes, who want to get results faster and work together. Again, you get a full month of support, a one-on-one consultation, resources and assessment evaluation, multiple checkpoints throughout the month, and more to create your personalized plan and customized solutions. So if this approach of addressing root causes resonates with you and you're ready to shift your experience with FPIES, put Radiant in the comments, click below, and get the discounted package with a month of support today. And so my name is Dr. Beata Harashim, and I'm a holistic and integrative doctor. And I work with clients with all sorts of signs, symptoms, and diagnoses with the Radiant Health Protocol. And I actually began my private practice specifically to support breastfeeding moms of little ones with FPIES, with food allergies, cow's milk protein allergy, milk and soy protein intolerance, FPIEP, and more. All the acronyms. Allergy breastfeeding is my subspecialty and a group that I hold so dear to my heart. I've been there. I know the challenges. And again, comment breastfeeding if this is you, because I remember how few resources there were. And I have so many resources for you. Workshops, videos, a book, and lots more. And as I was working with this population, I actually had moms approaching me who were formula feeding, who stopped breastfeeding and now their kids were older. Or maybe they found me when their kids were older, or moms that just needed support themselves. And I realized this approach that I used, that I created for myself and my daughter, was so unique and able to really support anyone, no matter what stage of life they were in, what condition or diagnosis they may have had. Because FPIES is most known for babies and kids, but it's actually much more prominent than you think. I believe it's just undiagnosed or misdiagnosed and really prominent in the adult population as well. We'll go deeper into that soon. So this masterclass video is part of a masterclass series. The pillars of the Radiant Health Protocol are going to be the rest of the series. So you're going to get special bonus trainings, but you're also going to get an in-depth view on each pillar. And what are those 6 pillars, right? They are holistic nutrition and nourishment, integrative detoxification, comprehensive gut health and healing, nervous system regulation, emotional energetics, and decoding the body. These 6 are the underlying root causes of any health condition and FPIES and food allergies. So the next videos after this one will each focus on one pillar of that protocol with lots of tips throughout so that you can start transforming your health today. And comment FPIES for the link to sign up for that entire free masterclass series to get the bonus resources and to make sure that you don't miss anything. Because the truth is that you can't achieve optimal wellness and well-being by only looking at one pillar, whether it is an elimination diet or gut health or emotions or energetics. That's where we personally got stuck on our FPIES journey. And I discovered that you needed a comprehensive, holistic, and integrative system. And that's what I made the 6 pillars of the Radiant Health Protocol based on. Put a 1 in the comments if this makes sense, and put a 2 if this is new to you, because we're all in different places on our journey. And I remember when this was new to me and I was kind of really curious about it. I was interested and, just kind of figuring it out for the first time or finding out about it for the first time. It's okay no matter where you are. And what I've discovered is that the root causes, the underlying reasons for any signs, symptoms, or conditions are the same in each person, but they present themselves differently and to a different extent in each person. So in the food allergy world, that is why some may have anaphylactic reactions, others may have acute FPIES reactions, others may have chronic FPIES reactions, others may have eczema, some may have reflux, etc. We're going to go through what all this means in a moment. But the root causes of all of these conditions are actually the same. So even if you're not sure if you have FPIES, this information is still going to be beneficial for you. And even if you have different food allergies, this is going to be beneficial for you as well as digestive conditions and any other health concerns. And before we jump into the root causes and the information, I want to have all of you experience at least part of the system and the radiant health approach. And a part of this is understanding the difference that this journey is making on your life. So I have 2 questions for you. And I invite you to grab a journal, a piece of paper, a pen, something to just jot down what first comes to mind for you. And I really do invite you to take the moment to do this and really participate, because this is where the transformation begins. So when you think of your current situation with FPIES, whether that's with you, your child, a family member, a friend, whatever, number 1 is, how is this affecting your life currently? And just jot down what comes to you, because we know that food allergies don't come in isolation. They affect relationships, they affect stress on a daily basis, they affect our mental and emotional health, they affect what we're eating, they affect where we're able to go, they affect our mental load, they affect the time that we have available for business, our career, they affect the social situations and interactions that we have. They affect our finances when we're talking about food options and practitioners. They affect the ease and joy that we feel on a daily basis. So I invite you to really pause and consider this. Write it down. Putting it on paper is transformational in and of itself. And if you're watching the live, you can come back and watch this replay. If you are watching the replay, go ahead and pause and take as much time as you need to. I really encourage you to do this part. So now the second question is, how would your life be different if you had clarity, confidence, and certainty on your next steps with FPIES? What if you knew how to approach food trials? You knew which foods to trial and which ones to avoid for your individual circumstances. What if you knew how to deal effectively with a reaction when that did happen? And what if you didn't have that many reactions? Or your child, what if they didn't have that many reactions? How would that feel? How would that transform your life? What would that open up possibilities, right? How would that open up possibilities for you? And what if you gained new foods? What if foods that you reacted to in the past, you didn't anymore? How would that feel? How would that change your life? And what if you knew how to support your body or your kiddo's body for optimal health and wellness and the best start to life? And lasting health and wellness that wasn't fleeting. How would that feel? How would that transform your life? What would be possible for you? And what if you knew that this experience that you're going through was actually going to set you or your kiddo up for radiant health moving forwards? How would it feel to know that this is actually happening for you? How would that change your life? How would that transform the experience? So this is just a sneak peek of what I work through with clients, working with our beliefs around our health conditions, working with the energies and the perspective that we have on them. And this is something that we go much deeper in during the Wellness by Design mini retreat. This is an awesome 2-hour experience. If you're interested in joining in and experiencing that full transformation, comment retreat in the comments and I'll get you the link. And the next one is actually coming up in just a few days. So I invite you to join us if that speaks to you and you want to start working through and processing that aspect of FPIES and any health condition. Now, this practice, this exercise gives you some clarity. It gives you a picture of how this is affecting your life, right? What are some areas that you need support in? And now that you have some clarity, let's get clear on your why. This is what's going to keep you motivated and keep you going, even when things get tough. Even when obstacles come in the way, we need to be clear on our reasons. We need our why first before we talk about strategies. So again, when you have your journal with you, I want you to just go with your gut response on a scale of 0 to 10. How motivated are you to improve your health or your child's health today? 0 to 10, whatever number comes to you first. And now the second question is, now why didn't you choose a number lower than that? All right, just answer whatever comes to you. What's your gut response? So an example is, if you rated yourself as a 6, you are 6 out of 10 motivated to do this today, right? Why didn't you choose a 4? What are the reasons that it is important to do this today? What are the reasons that you need to get support and change today? Because the answers are there. They are within you. That is what's going to get you through. That is your motivation. That is going to be your unwavering support. That is going to be your lifeline, your child's lifeline. And those are the reasons, again, why you know you need to make this change today, not tomorrow, and not next week. And these are going to be individual for all of us. So really tap in and see, what is it for you? What is your driving motivator? And then for those who do sign up for the Masterclass series, you'll also get a special guided practice to go even deeper on your why. So make sure to put FPIES in the comments and I'll get you the link for the full series. So I want to share my journey, right? My story, our journey with my daughter and I, because this protocol and this approach that I'm going to share is not just some theory or philosophy. This is true lived experience for myself, my daughter, and dozens of clients that I've worked with. And, when my beautiful daughter came into the world, our journey started with eczema, baby acne, colic, reflux, and straight blood and mucousy stools. There was vomiting and lots of other smaller signs and symptoms. Does this resonate with any of you who are especially parents and have little ones? My daughter would be nursing for up to 20 hours a day and only wanted to be held or worn in a baby wrap. I could hear her cries and my body would feel like it was shutting down. And I want you to know, if you're a parent or caregiver, you know that cry when they're in pain, and what that effect that has on you emotionally, mentally, physically, because these weren't regular cries that my daughter was crying. There weren't tears. There were screams of pain that I can only imagine. And when she wasn't crying, there were phantom cries that would exacerbate my anxiety and make me spiral. I would spend hours researching and trying to figure out things, and I was stuck in my head so often, and I wasn't present with her. I was a total wreck. I was confused, I was overwhelmed, and I was scared. I refer to this time as panic. Our doctors at the time weren't helpful. Family and friends didn't know how to help. And I set out to get my baby feeling better on my own, whatever information I could get. And man, did I make so many mistakes. So if you're making mistakes, I want you to know that I've been there, and I had all of this training and healthcare background. I ended up going back and forth and not knowing where to go next. And through all those mistakes, we learned a lot. And years later now, I can catch the patterns, I can catch the mistakes. And that is so valuable, because especially when we're in it, again, mentally, emotionally, it makes it so much harder to see things. And so what we did is I jumped into a breastfeeding elimination diet. I cut out so much food, but we weren't seeing healing. We had acute reactions to a few ingredients. And at one point we were down to a 2-food elimination diet. Mentally, emotionally, it was draining. I had so much anxiety, and I felt such a lack of support from my partner, family members, and practitioners. I had a hard time finding anyone who knew what we were dealing with and how to actually support us. And so eventually with all my research, I came up with FPIES as a self-diagnosis. And not to say that we didn't go to practitioners. We went to naturopaths, we went to holistic doctors, And, they liked to give us supplements, which actually my daughter was so sensitive that she couldn't tolerate any of them. We waited weeks and months for appointments. And then between appointments, we had to wait some more. And I had dying questions that I needed answered, right? Not dying questions, but questions that I desperately needed answered in the middle of the night. And I would stay up all night with insomnia because I couldn't sleep because I needed to figure it out. And that is one of the reasons why the care that I provide now is concierge care. I give you an avenue to get your questions answered in real time. I do troubleshooting for you. So you can send me, at 2 a.m., the question that's on your mind, knowing that I'm going to be replying to you and getting you your answer soon. And again, we went to an allergist, and, this experience, I remember my daughter, she was screaming bloody murder because we were in the middle of a chronic reaction, and her chronic reaction would last for weeks. And, he was listening to me, but he wasn't really listening to me. I was telling him about all these signs, all these symptoms, the blood, the pain, the reflux, the vomiting. And he just looked at me, and my daughter, she looked well in the fact that she was kind of chunky. She was always really small for her age, but she was a little chunky. And he just goes, "Just feed her food." Well, what? You just invalidated my entire experience. You just invalidated the screaming baby that's right in front of you. What do I feed her? How do I feed her? How do I do this? He left me with more questions than answered after that appointment. If you've ever felt that way, put a 1 in the comments. That feeling of being lost and confused and overwhelmed. And again, so many different medical providers, pediatricians that we went to, they just didn't get us. They thought that I was probably making things up. They didn't really listen. They didn't validate. Put a 1 in the comments if you've been there, if you've experienced that. And this is a big difference. This is what I do, is that I listen to you, and I am here to understand what you're going through, to validate and to believe you, because you know your experience best. You know your child best. And at the same time, I'm here to guide you expertly with all of this experience and training and knowledge that I have. Because throughout this journey, I discovered my own food allergies. I discovered I had something called leaky gut, which we'll go into more, and how my gut health was affected my daughter's gut health. I discovered my own autoimmunity, my own hormonal issues. And, what happened is we discovered this gut healing protocol. And I read the book. I thought I knew it. And we jumped in, and I made all the mistakes. And the thing is that it wasn't that it was the wrong protocol for me. I just didn't know how to apply it for our situation. So what I did do is I finally found a practitioner who could support me. And the interesting thing was that she knew the protocol really well, but she didn't know breastfeeding, the nuances with breastfeeding, and she didn't know the nuances with an elimination diet with food allergies. So throughout this process, it was kind of a dual mentorship where she was educating me on the protocol and helping guide us through the protocol, but I was also educating her on the breastfeeding elements and the elimination diet elements, because they were both equally important. And especially with a child as sensitive as my daughter was, we needed to do this cooperatively. And so through time, we saw some healing on that. And that is one of the main pillars that I'll go through. But then we kind of got stuck and we didn't make a lot of progress. And then I started learning about nervous system regulation and emotions and how they play a part in our physical health journey, and the energetic aspects. I went through multiple mentorships. I worked with so many practitioners. I did lots of learning, courses, further study. And we saw progress. We saw improvement. Things changed for us. Again, my daughter's list of triggers dropped dramatically. Our reactions were much more mild. And after this experience, I had a light bulb moment. I started seeing that I could help others. I was a practitioner. I had the healthcare background, but I also had this lived personal experience. I didn't just read a book. And I made the mistakes. I went through the protocol, right? I had the experience of going through it. So I knew what to look out for. And all the mentorships, all the practitioners that I worked with, I had this moment and I knew I had this calling that I had to help others with this. And again, that's how I first started my private practice. and it's evolved and grown since then. So now you know why we're here, why we're able to be here in this moment, and how near and dear this is to my heart. I even wrote a book about it. It's on Amazon and it's on sale through Food Allergy Month called Breastfeeding Bliss. I'll talk about it a little bit more. And I created so many resources because I want this to be accessible to everyone. All right, now let's talk about the logistics of FPIES, what it actually is, how it works, and let's get you some tips, some things that you can do for management tools. So FPIES, again, stands for Food Protein Induced Enterocolitis Syndrome. It's a rare food allergy that is non-IgE mediated. There are chronic and acute presentations, and it can be life-threatening. And it's not just about food proteins, okay? This is a misnomer. And I know from personal experience that it doesn't have to be a protein in order for you or your child to react to it. So if you're someone who, again, we've gone to FPIES practitioners and they didn't know this, they didn't recognize this. So put a 1 in the comments if that has been your experience. Because again, from my personal experience, I know that you can react to an oil that has no protein in it, okay? So let's break down what all of that meant, because I just said a whole bunch of words. When we think of food allergies, the most well-known are IgE-mediated allergies. What this means is that they can cause anaphylaxis, hives, swelling, and they happen immediately to exposure and up to 2 hours after. It can be to trace amounts, and they are life-threatening. Anaphylaxis is life-threatening. And if you have this type of allergy, you need to be working with an allergist, and you need an EpiPen. I still work with these clients in conjunction with their allergists, but you absolutely need that allergist on your team. For skin testing, any food trials need to be done with medical supervision. Okay, so I just want to differentiate that. Even with IgE-mediated allergies, it is a sensitivity of the immune system, an over response. So what the body does is it sees this food as an invader and attacks the food, but creates this attack reaction in ourselves. And again, this can be deadly. It is so important to work with an allergist if you're having anaphylaxis or signs of anaphylaxis, hives, etc. When we talk about non-IgE mediated food allergies, they are still a sensitivity of the immune system, an over response, but they are mediated through different antibodies, and a different part of the immune system essentially gets activated. That's why the signs and symptoms are different. So if you have a skin test and an allergist, the first type, the IgE allergies, would show up on that skin test or a blood test. But these non-IgE mediated allergies would not. Okay, that's a key factor, because some people are like, well, I went to the allergist, they did the blood test, they did the skin test, and they came back negative. That doesn't mean anything. Okay, so next, right, these non-IgE allergies, we'll talk about testing in a moment, but a hallmark difference is that the non-IgE reactions show up after 2 hours from exposure. They're a delayed reaction. And at times they can even be days after, from our personal experience. They also last longer in my experience. So my daughter could have reactions for weeks. IgE allergies, again, the first type, they happen within almost immediately a lot of the time, but within a 2-hour window. They tend to be shorter lived, but they can also be longer as well. Now, this is tricky because especially those non-IgE mediated allergies, like I mentioned, it's not as easy to figure out what's causing them. They won't show up on skin tests or blood tests, and they have that delayed response. So the signs, the symptoms, and the history are the most important here. And that's what I'm an expert in, is noticing the patterns. Because especially if you don't know what the triggers are, that is something that is important to figure out. Now, again, with FPIES, there's 2 different presentations. There's an acute reaction and a chronic reaction. So acute reactions, the hallmark sign of them is profuse vomiting. So much vomiting, right? Lots of vomiting, recurrent vomiting, diarrhea, weight loss, dehydration, temperature changes, low energy. and something that we call hypovolemic shock. Not everyone needs to experience hypovolemic shock for them to have acute reactions, though. And hypovolemic shock is a medical emergency. So this can be life-threatening as well. What ends up happening is when your child or you vomit that much and lose that much fluid, either through diarrhea or vomiting, your body starts to shut down because of that dehydration. So when this is happening, if you notice that yourself or your child is getting really lethargic, really tired, fatigued, especially after lots of vomiting and diarrhea, if they're starting to get a really low temperature, if they're starting to change colors, you need to get them emergent medical care. They need IV fluids as soon as possible. That is why it is so important to have a plan and even a written letter ready to go if you know that your child has this. Because oftentimes what ends up happening is a parent or a person will go to the ER and the medical personnel that will be like, no, it's just a GI bug. No, it's just food poisoning. Again, you know your body, you know your child's body. You need to keep pushing for IV fluids if you notice these signs, okay? Because this can be life-threatening, and this child or adult needs IV fluids. So this is where I work with parents and caregivers and adults, coach them how to talk to medical personnel about this, because this is serious, okay? And this is also why sometimes, especially with acute, but also with chronic, when we're losing that much, we may have failure to thrive. So that's important to note as well. Now, with chronic reactions, the signs and symptoms happen about 2 hours after, and they include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, diarrhea, bloody stools, mucousy stools, reflux, vomiting, malabsorption of food, poor weight gain. So again, this is still important, right? This is still a severe reaction, especially if, it is diarrhea and stomach pain, but maybe there's no vomiting, or maybe, there's different aspects to this. And that's why this presentation is a little tricky. And this is also why I work with the root causes, because no matter what signs and symptoms you're presenting with, the root causes are the same. Okay. Now, I also want to mention that you don't have to have all of these things, and you can have different reactions for different foods. So for example, my daughter, she, again, like I mentioned, she was small, but she was chunky. So she didn't fit that poor weight gain and failure to thrive picture, but she had all the other symptoms. Or maybe your child has reflux, but they don't vomit a lot. Okay. So when I was at that allergist appointment, the one that didn't believe us, I asked a lot of questions. And, I asked, how do you differentiate? Because I wasn't sure what she actually had. I thought she had FPIES, right? So what he told me, and this is what the research supports, is that when we're looking at FPIES, we're looking at both upper and lower GI symptoms. So what that means is that there are upper symptoms like reflux and vomiting, as well as lower GI. So diarrhea, bloody mucousy stools, stomach pain, etc. So that is essentially the criteria for FPIES. The severity doesn't matter. Okay. There are other conditions, which I'll mention quickly now, and also how confusing this can be. So if you are confused as a parent or caregiver, I absolutely hear you, because it was confusing for me even, and I'll explain why. So there's another condition called FPIAP, food protein induced allergic procticulitis, another mouthful. That is when there's only lower GI symptoms. Then there's something called CMPA, or cow's milk protein allergy, which can actually present the same. It can present in any of these ways that I mentioned before, including anaphylaxis, including acute or chronic symptoms, but it's specifically only to cow's milk dairy. And again, it's not just the protein. Then there's milk and soy protein intolerance, which is such a misnomer in itself. But again, all it means is that you can have any of the symptoms above, but all it means is that it's specifically to milk products and soy products. It's not an intolerance, it's an allergy. EOE, eosinophilic, oh gosh, I'm going to say it wrong now. Eosinophilic esophagitis, okay? That is actually an autoimmune condition that includes the esophagus. So that can show up as reflux, it can show up as vomiting, it can show up as inability to swallow, so many pain with swallowing, so many things with that as well. There's a condition called MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome, which focuses on histamine reaction, and histamine intolerance, and histamine responses. So are you getting a little confused, right? All these different conditions, but the presentation can be the same. Then we go on to eczema. So your child or you may consume a food and maybe you don't get GI symptoms, but you get eczema popping up. The root causes are all the same. Okay, put a 1 in the comments if this is starting to clear up some confusion, because I know this was so confusing when I started learning about it and all the overlapping names and things. Right? And then we go into, when we're talking about babies, colic, right? When a baby is screaming for hours a day, that is not normal. That is a symptom of something going wrong. And colic in itself is not a condition. It is a symptom of something being out of alignment with the body. It is the body asking for help. And I also want to say that I saw this going around, and I actually created a meme a while ago where a little bit doesn't hurt. Yes, it does. When we are dealing with these food allergies, with FPIES, with any of the presentations below that I mentioned as well, when we are talking about anaphylactic allergies, it is an immune response. You are creating inflammation in the body. So giving a little bit, right, is not helpful. We need to heal the body, and then the body can start being reintroduced to things. Put a 1 in the comments if that makes sense. So oftentimes, like I mentioned, FPIES can be misdiagnosed as food poisoning, a stomach bug, a food intolerance, and it's not important, the label. I don't want you to get attached to a label. It is just being able to get the resources that you need, right? Let's look at the root causes. That's the way that I approach this and that I work with this. Because then we go into food sensitivities, right? Food intolerances. Food sensitivity is something that I don't like using that word because it kind of downplays the importance of it, right? When we look at the root causes, we start understanding it. Intolerance means that there is an enzyme lacking. Okay, so like in lactose intolerance, it means that you don't have enough or any at all of the lactase enzyme to break down that food particle. All right, so again, lots of different names. We don't have to worry about that all too much. What matters is you're here, and we're going to talk about the root causes. Because when we look at any of these responses, it's the immune system and our gut health. Those are crucial. That is the mechanism of action. So again, put a 1 in the comments if you're getting some clarity, if you're getting a deeper understanding, if you're having an aha moment with all of this. And if you feel comfortable, share in the comments which ones you think you or your child has, right? Have they reacted to cow's milk? Have they reacted to soy? Have they reacted to, are they getting both upper and lower GI or lower GI? Go ahead and put it in the comments if you feel comfortable. And again, if this approach, working with the root causes, resonates with you, go ahead and put Radiant in the comments and click below and get that discounted package with a month of support today. And then, we're going to clear up some myths and things like that, but you can react to any ingredient. It doesn't just have to be milk or soy, rice and oatmeal or other really popular ones or common ones, but you can react to any ingredient, even trace amounts. It can be a derivative. It can be an oil. And the other thing that I want to clear up is that with breastfeeding, not all babies react through breast milk, and it is absolutely possible for babies to react through breast milk. So don't rule one out or the other. And for example, some babies, like my daughter, reacted right away through breast milk and through actual food. Other babies don't react through breast milk, and they start having reactions when they're exposed through foods, essentially when parents and caregivers start introducing solids. So again, this can often be mistaken for a GI bug, for food poisoning, but you know your child and your body best, especially when it becomes a pattern. When you start noticing the patterns, we can't deny it. Now, there are contributing factors to this. We're going to go through a bunch of them as we go through the pillars, but one that I want to mention now is genetics. There is a genetic link to FPIES, and there's also something called epigenetics, which means that we are not hopeless and we are not helpless. So when we look at the genetic link, when we look through our lineage, right? So when we look at our parents, our grandparents, if you have your great grandparents around, Go ahead and ask them. Was my mom colicky when she was a baby? Did she have eczema? Did she vomit a lot when she was a child? Did she have diarrhea a lot? Did she ever have blood in her stool? And more than likely what you'll find is somewhere in your lineage, someone will say like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember your mom, she never stopped screaming when she was a child. Or, oh yeah, she had the worst eczema. Or, in my case, it turns out that, it's like, oh, my mom, yeah, my grandma couldn't breastfeed her, so she needed to give her cow's milk as an infant. So when I look at that, I'm like, oh, of course, she had a cow's milk allergy. And that's why grandma didn't know how to do that. And she gave her cow's milk. So there were so many contributing factors in this. And again, that's why we look at the root causes. It doesn't matter how it shows up. It matters to you, obviously. But the root causes, how we treat it, how we take care of it, are going to be the same. Okay. Now, epigenetics, this is a field of research and study that is so amazing because what they have shown and proven is that genetically, our genetics are passed down through generations, but the expression and activation of our genes, again, is passed down, and also we have agency over it with our lifestyle choices, with our gut health, with our environment. So we actually have agency over how our genetics are expressed and activated. And this is so crucial because this is what the pillars work on. Okay, we're going to talk more about it later, but I just want to introduce that now. So when we talk about root causes, this is what the Radiant Health Protocol is based on. And keep listening even after the protocol because we're going to bust some myths and answer some frequently asked questions as well, which are so important. All right, let's dive in. So the first pillar is holistic nutrition and nourishment. With FPIES, food is the focus, right? It's food induced. The first part that we need to do is we need to identify the foods that are creating the reactions. What is the immune system reacting to? How do we remove those foods and exposure so that the body can get a break, right? We don't want to keep reacting. That puts such a toll on the body. So sometimes that includes trace amounts and cross-contamination, something that I had to deal with, and I'm really good at finding it because even when you think it's not there, it can be there. And when we're getting this continued inflammation from repeated reactions, we're getting an activation of the immune system. And again, that puts our body into a heightened state. It actually makes us more likely to react as we go. So that's something that has been shown is that with one FPIES reaction, the more reactions that you have, you're actually prone to having more reactions. And again, like I mentioned, with trace amounts, with figuring out triggers, I'm here to help you figure this out, to work through the process and at the same time, not make your life more stressful than it needs to be. Because like I mentioned, I went on a severe elimination diet that I didn't necessarily need to. There were certain things that, yes, we did need to eliminate, but I'm here to not have you go from 0 to 60. Let's take it a step at a time and make sure that we're making rational choices, ones that are backed by evidence and experience. I also have an elimination tracker that will help you figure out triggers and help you keep track of your trials, what to trial next, etc. So put tracker in the comments if you're interested in getting that. Because when I first started again this journey, I jumped into a major elimination diet, and there are ways to do it differently. We don't want to deprive more than we need to, and we also need to focus on nourishment. Because when we do severe elimination diets, there's a mental toll on that. It's emotionally draining. But we also need to focus on what is it that we're eating? How do we ensure that we're getting the proper nourishment for our body to function? How do we optimize digestion for absorption and utilization of these vitamins and minerals? And how are we preparing and cooking our food? This matters. It can improve our digestion and the nourishment that we're able to use. So I work with you to create a nourishing plan so that you feel confident knowing what to eat. So if it's a baby, the breastfeeding mother's diet, right? Or a formula, how to wean baby to solids, common solids for a resource that's great on that as well. I have a whole video on how to introduce solids. We identify food allergies with various methods, which we'll go into later. We work on decreasing inflammation, allowing healing to occur. And I focus on whole foods as much as possible. Food is healing when we know how to use it. And this was the blessing in disguise with my daughter, who was so sensitive that we couldn't tolerate any of the supplements. And we figured out a way to heal and get progress without using any probiotics, any supplements. And we saw improvement. So it is possible for you as well. And I'll talk about supplements. Maybe I'll talk about it later, but I'll talk about it now as well, is that supplements, when we look at the ingredients, they actually contain chemicals. They create extra things, additives, binders that our body doesn't actually need. And when we take a lot of supplements, it actually increases our toxic load. So we'll definitely talk about this in the detoxification section. But so when we can use just whole food to really help us, there's power in that. We're not adding extra stuff. We're accessing and supporting our innate wisdom of our body. I also help you with trials, right? Figuring out when to trial, how to trial. I have unique tracking methods so that you don't become obsessive and spiral into anxiety like I did. I help you with determining how and when to trial, what to trial, when to introduce, how to reintroduce it, with unique and customized solutions for you. And really, the gold standard is a trial and error food challenge. Because again, skin testing, blood testing doesn't work for FPIES and non-IgE allergies. The only way to know is to do a trial and see what happens. So what if I could teach you how to use real food to support your body, how to support your child's body for optimal lasting health? Not supplements, not medication, just supporting your body's innate wisdom with the nourishment we provide it. And when I talk about this holistic nourishment pillar, we go into other things as well. We go into movement. And for the adults and caregivers, how are we nourishing our mind? What are the thoughts that we're thinking? What are we focusing on? How are we speaking to ourselves? How are we speaking to our children about FPIES or allergies? What beliefs are we holding on to? And more. How are we nourishing our souls? Are we expressing our creativity? Are we allowing our children to play and have a sense of freedom? Are we connecting with our higher power? What state are we in the majority of the time? Are we constantly anxious and worried and overwhelmed and stressed? Are we angry and frustrated and resentful that we're in this situation? Are we afraid? Are we feeling helpless and hopeless? Are we experiencing grace and forgiveness and trust and gratitude and compassion on a regular basis? This matters as well. Our emotions play a part in our physical experience. And this also goes into our environment, the relationships that we have, our family dynamics, our parenting, our business, or our career. Because the truth is that even our babies and our kids can feel our energy and our emotions. They know when we're stressed. They know when we're not being present with them. And this increases states of dysregulation within them as well. And as moms, dads, and caregivers, we get the opportunity to heal right alongside with our children. And how we nourish ourselves is just as important, and it doesn't take a lot of time. I have quick strategies for you that even as a sleep-deprived, busy mom who's working in and out of the home, and now a single mom business owner, these are strategies that work no matter how little time you think you have. You incorporate them into your daily experience and they become your being, your state. They transform your life. They transform your family. They transform your health and wellness, your child's health and wellness, your entire experience. This is a crucial root cause for FPIES. And how many of you maybe have only been focusing on food? I know we did when we first started, and it's okay if you're there too. We all have to start somewhere. But this part is so crucial in our experience and healing. So let's talk about a quick tip. One of the things that I truly stand for and believe in is eating high quality whole foods. So as much as you can, taking out the processed foods from your diet, the fortified foods, focusing on organic food, high quality foods, high quality animal products, nourishing foods instead of rice and oatmeal that really aren't that nourishing. Our body's not able to utilize and absorb the nourishment from that. And it is actually going to create more distress in the GI system. Okay, so this may be new for some of you, and that's okay. But I want you to know that rice and oatmeal and grains are not that nourishing for us. And when we have conditions like this, they're actually like sandpaper on an open wound in our digestive system. So we're going to talk more about this in the gut health section. But if this, what we just talked about, if nourishment is something that you are recognizing is alive for you, is you're recognizing that you need some support on, put nourishment in the comments. So it gives me feedback on where people are at, but I'll also send you a link for the direct masterclass on this as well. And if you're ready to experience nourishment on all levels for FPIES and get to the root causes to transform your experience from overwhelm, confusion to clarity, calm, and confidence, click below and get that full month of support package at 89% off of the regular price right now. Get customized solutions to activate your radiant health, wellness, and vitality. All right, pillar 2, integrated detoxification. This is not a one-off detox or a cleanse. That's what most people think of when they think of a detox. What we're doing is we're discovering how to support and open your innate detoxification pathways in your body, how to support your detoxification organs, and understand the interplay with emotions and energetics and the nervous system. Again, my approach is holistic. It's on a mind, body, and soul levels. So when we talk about FPIES, we need to be aware of the toxins in our environment, in our system, how that affects our immune system, and the detox pathways, especially when they're congested. So one of the things, we have lots of detoxification pathways that we'll talk about, but one of the things that everyone needs to be doing, even babies, is we need to be pooping daily. I did a whole segment on poop. If you want that, go ahead and put poop in the comments. We need to be having a full bowel movement daily. This is one of our main detoxification systems. And we need to be getting these toxins out because we're constantly bombarded by toxins in our environment, even in our food, even when we eat clean, and through our gut health, because we have a whole microbiome in there that is creating toxins. And it's all normal and natural, but we need to be able to eliminate them. So that is the tip. Make sure you're having a bowel movement daily. Again, for clients, we create custom protocols to make sure that we're doing that naturally and supporting your innate body. Now, one thing that you can do again is just pay attention to all the toxins in your environment. The average person is exposed to 700 toxic chemicals daily. So look at the shampoos that you're using, the personal products that you're using, how much plastic you're using. All of this matters. And then when we're talking about toxin exposure, it's not just the environment, but non-organic foods, right? Glyphosate or Roundup exposure through our foods or the environment. All of these affect our gut health and the toxin load that our body has to work with. Now, this is also important to mention vaccination. Vaccines contain heavy metals. They contain toxins and chemicals, and it affects our immune system and our detoxification pathways. It doesn't let them work as well. So that is important because our detoxification pathways, when they are working well, they're getting rid of things. But what happens when they get clogged, when they're not open, then these toxins are just recirculating in our body and can create havoc in different places and present differently. Medications is another one. I don't prescribe medication. There are a few instances where, yeah, maybe they are required, but the majority of the time, they're actually a Band-Aid solution. They're temporary fixes that are masking the actual problem, the root cause. And especially for things like reflux, constipation, a holistic and natural approach can create resolution of symptoms. You don't need the medication. Those create more side effects and they're a toxic load on our body. Same thing with supplements. Like I mentioned earlier, they contain additives and chemicals, and this is a toxic load on our body as well. I like to work with whole foods as much as possible and only use supplements when absolutely necessary. So with me, you won't have hundreds of dollars of supplements to buy each month when we work together. So comment supplements if you want a video specifically on that, because I know this approach and this concept may be new to some of you as well. So when our body holds on to toxins, we have more inflammation. When we have more inflammation, our immune system is more reactive. So does that make sense? How the toxins literally can help our immune system be more reactive, and especially how that connects to food allergies and FPIES? Put a 1 in the comments if that makes sense. We have many detoxification organs. 2 that I'm going to mention here are the liver and gallbladder. We need to be supporting those, again, for optimal health and wellness. And that helps our FPIES and our food allergies as well. Because when our liver and gallbladder can do their job well, we are getting the toxins out, our pathways are working better, our immune system response is lowered, our reactivity is lowered, our inflammation is lowered. And in the Radiant Health Protocol, there are 8 modules and pathways that we work through. So this is not, this is a lot to do, and I make it simple. I want you to know that there are a lot of things to address, and I give you clear and easy steps to follow. Now, again, with detoxification, sometimes people talk about parasites and heavy metal detoxes, things like that. These are harsh. We need to be able to detoxify these naturally. Yes, they do play a part. And especially with sensitive little ones, we need to be careful, because how many of you have maybe done a detox or a cleanse in the past and you've actually felt worse afterwards? What that means is that your detoxification pathways were clogged. They're not able to move the toxins out. So what we do is we actually support your body and work with our innate pathways so that these things can move through, right? The parasites, the heavy metals, the toxins, they can release naturally. And then we support extra if we need it. This is a crucial root cause for how reactive our immune system is, how congested or clogged up our detoxification pathways are. And we can also have stagnant energy or frequencies that are affecting these detoxification pathways and blocking them. We may have negative energies in our homes and within our fields. We may have limiting beliefs, old wounds, and traumas that we're holding on to and that maybe we need to heal. And it's not just about the physical body. We're going to talk more about that in the next sections, about how the emotions and energies affect it as well. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes we need to detox our environment. We may need to detox relationships, things in our career, in our business. Because when we work together, we look at things, again, on a whole. It's a physical, emotional, mental, and energetic detox. So put detox in the comments if this is something that you're recognizing you need some support in. And again, I'll tag you in that specific masterclass. And I also do a small kind of trial and teaser of this with the Holistic Detox Mini Retreat. So again, this is a 2-hour experience. If this is something that you're interested in trying and experiencing yourself, put retreat in the comments. And if you're ready to go deep, support your detoxification, get to the root causes, click below for that full month of support package. It's 89% off right now, and get customized solutions for your radiant health, wellness, and vitality. Now, pillar 3, comprehensive gut health and healing. This is the mechanism of action and a huge root cause for FPIES. Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. It's an ancient wisdom that has proven to be true, and it does affect every process in the body. So when we think of a condition called leaky gut, what this is that we have a gut wall lining, okay? And in that lining, there are spaces, but let's say they're only supposed to be this big, right? My model is not going to be represented accurately, right? But let's say they're only supposed to be this big. And what this does is allows your digestive system to do what it needs to do. And then our nutrients, our particles of food pass through into our bloodstream, and we get to use them for all the processes that we need, right? Our building blocks, etc. What happens is we can get something called leaky gut. With leaky gut, those spaces now become larger. Things are now passing through and into our bloodstream that don't belong there, that should never get there. And what happens is that now food particles that are too big, potentially not being digested well, that's part of the process, right? If they're not being digested well, they're getting to that part of the digestive process, and now they're passing into our bloodstream. They're increasing an immune response, they're increasing inflammation, and they're creating food allergies and FPIES. Same thing as that happens, there are now viruses and bacteria that are able to pass into our bloodstream, toxins and chemicals that are able to get into our bloodstream. How does leaky gut happen? we think of a couple different things. So glyphosate and Roundup exposure is a contributing factor to leaky gut. Eating foods that are creating a dysbiosis in our microbiome, we're going to talk about that in a moment, as well as antibiotics, again, vaccination. There are many things that affect our gut wall and our lining, and we need to make sure that we heal and seal that gut wall, okay? Because we don't want food particles passing through that don't belong there. Because again, that food particle comes into the bloodstream, it creates inflammation, and it triggers an immune response. That's how the body starts recognizing these foods as attackers, as foreign. So again, digestion we need to work on. We need to make sure that we're optimizing our digestion, that we're breaking down our food particles, that we're actually able to digest it and absorb it and utilize the nutrition from our food. Now, a common question that I get is, do probiotics help? I have to say, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And just probiotics alone are not enough to heal a leaky gut wall and rebalance the gut microbiome. So when we talk about gut health, this is way beyond a supplement or probiotic. When I talk about it, we're talking about nurturing our gut microbiome. These are trillions of microorganisms that work together in balance. So there are viruses in there, bacteria, fungi, yeasts, parasites. And when they all work in balance, when they're all in harmony, then we have health. But what happens is when there's an imbalance, when things get overgrown, when there's a candida overgrowth, when there's a bacterial overgrowth, then that throws things off. It actually damages that gut wall, and it damages the effects of that gut microbiome. It produces more toxins, which we talked about earlier. We have a higher toxin load. There's more to it as well. But so what we need to do is we need to heal and seal the gut wall. We need to support optimal digestion. We need to rebalance the gut microbiome naturally. That's using food. Food is my preferred way to do this. Sometimes we use a probiotic because sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. We couldn't tolerate a probiotic for a long time until we got to enough healing that we could. This is a cornerstone of health. Gut health affects everything. And our gut is literally a pharmacy that we have built in. It creates and secretes hormones. It affects our metabolism. It affects our immunity, our inflammation levels, and our mental and emotional states. So there's something called the gut-brain axis, and it uses the vagus nerve, which affects our mental and emotional health. And it's related to health conditions such as sensory processing disorder, autism, ADHD, OCD, anxiety, depression, eating disorders, schizophrenia. And you know, how many of you may see multiple conditions in your child or yourself with FPIES? It's because gut health really does affect all of this, as well as detoxification, nourishment, and all the other pillars. So this is just one pillar. Gut health is so important to do, but we need to use it in combination with all the pillars to work holistically. That the transformation is remarkable. And then we look at the energies and the emotions that are affected with certain pathogen overgrowths, right? Again, we need to optimize that microbiome. We need to work with those energies and stagnant blocks, right, within our digestive system and within our being. And again, you can take supplements and medication, but long term, they are really just a Band-Aid and they're not getting at the root cause. So some people are like, oh, if I take this supplement, I poop every day. That's not addressing the root cause. We need to figure out what is it that's lacking in your nourishment that is going to help you do that, right? We don't want to rely on a supplement forever. And again, the supplements, they increase the toxin load. They're temporary fixes. We need to focus on the root causes. So I mentioned some contributing factors to gut health already: antibiotic use, vaccination, glyphosate. These destroy gut health. Certain things are necessary at times. So for example, antibiotics, but we need to refocus on rebuilding gut health after. So again, there's no judgment, no shame if you've used antibiotics. We just need to focus on gut health now. Let's get back as much as we can. Let's rebuild. And again, I build protocols that are customized to each individual and phase of your journey, because that is so crucial. Don't do the mistakes that I did where I read a book and thought I knew it all, because it doesn't work that way. And put gut health in the comments if this is an area that you recognize you need to focus on, and I'll send you the link for that specific masterclass. And if you're ready to optimize your digestion, heal your gut, rebalance your gut microbiome, and get all the benefits of that on your FPIES journey, click below for that special month of support package. It's 89% off the regular price, and get customized solutions to activate your radiant health, wellness, and vitality. All right, number 4, nervous system regulation. So take a drink of water. All right, nervous system regulation. When we are in a stressed or worried state, our nervous system shifts and we cannot heal. Same thing happens when our babies are in distress. Where we're in this state, we're in fight or flight. It's survival mode. When we're stuck there and we can't move out into rest and digest mode, that's when healing cannot occur. That's when our bodies cannot function optimally. Regular body processes don't function. Digestion doesn't work optimally, detoxification doesn't happen, metabolism, hormone production, etc. And when this happens, we can be eating all of the best organic food, maybe even taking supplements that are beneficial for us. Maybe if we're even doing emotional work or yoga classes, if you're an adult. But if you shift and stay in fight or flight the majority of the time, it's not doing you any good. All of that good food, all of those supplements, it's not going to help you. Your body's not able to utilize the goodness, and your body can't access its innate wisdom, its innate healing abilities, and its innate ability to maintain health. We need to shift into rest and digest as often as possible and help our children as well on this healing journey. The vagus nerve and vagal tone is a huge aspect of this, and is how it also relates directly to gut health. So for many conditions, this is a root cause, and this is a feeling of unsafety. So what happens, and so people are like, well, how about my baby? How is it possible that she already has a feeling of unsafety as she's having signs and symptoms already? Like I mentioned earlier, epigenetics, right? So genetically, these experiences are passed down through generations, through our DNA, through energetic blueprints from our ancestors, as well as the emotions and energies of these emotions. So I work with parents to help regulate their little ones, techniques that you can use to regulate yourself, co-regulate with your child, and also regulate your child directly, no matter even if they're a baby. And this is something that no one talks about in the food allergy world, and it makes such a huge difference. Because when we have this feeling of unsafety and we're stuck in fight or flight, we can't heal. We don't get into rest and digest. And as adults, right, for the adults with FPIES, or even, just the adults watching right now, the parents and caregivers, all of us have experienced some level of childhood wounds and traumas. But for some of us, these experiences literally rewire our system to be more prone to fight or flight. And this continues through our lives and into adulthood. And therefore, it makes us more prone and likely to have medical conditions like food allergies, like diabetes, like heart disease. This is an epidemic that no one is talking about. And so when we talk about this, right, maybe the childhood wounds and traumas, so you're like, what's an example? So this can be something as small as, seemingly small as maybe your parent telling you that it's not okay to cry when you were little, or it's not okay to be angry. Or that maybe when you were having big emotions and big feelings that it wasn't okay to express them, or maybe you were shamed. Maybe you were bullied in school. Maybe someone made a comment that you took really personally. Maybe you did experience significant abuse or neglect. We each have different experiences. But for some of us, this literally rewires our nervous system when we're younger. And it changes our nervous system for the rest of our lives. And again, it's not our fault. And I want you to know we have agency something about this, because this is a root cause of chronic health problems, and especially food allergies and FPIES and autoimmunity. It is a heightened immune system state, the state of feeling unsafe. And this is supported. I actually want to also mention this, that this can also happen in the womb, right? So if you had an experience when you were pregnant with your child, or during birth as well, right? This has so many implications. So this is supported by the research There is something called the ACEs study done by Kaiser Permanente, which shows that these people who have had different experiences in their childhood and the health effects that it has on them later on. This is the underlying root cause that shifts everything when we address it. And for those who sign up for the full masterclass series, you'll get a special resource just for you to assess your own ACEs and possibly your child's. And we'll go in depth during the nervous system regulation video in the series as well. Because when we regulate our nervous system, our inflammation goes down, our digestion improves, our hormone balance improves, our immunity improves, our mental and emotional states improve. It is all related. So put nervous system in the comments if this is an area that you may have missed on your healing journey so far. I know I did for so long, and many others do too, and it's okay. I'll send you the link for that nervous system masterclass and get you resources to support you today. And if you're ready to experience this nervous system regulation on a whole new level and address the root causes of FPIES, click below to get that full month of support package at 89% off the regular price and get customized solutions to activate your radiant health, wellness, and vitality. All right, number 5, emotional, energetics, and spiritual alignment. So I want to give some examples to start because for some of us, this may be a really new topic. I know it was for me at one point, right? But the examples are so profound. So over and over again, I work with clients who have had decades of digestive challenges, autoimmunity, food allergies, other conditions like FPIES, MCAS, etc. And we start working through emotions and energetics. And what happens is they literally feel it in the body. And as we integrate these emotions and energies, they feel a distinct release. Symptoms improve. Sometimes this takes multiple sessions, sometimes different techniques. Sometimes it happens very quickly and profoundly. But the energies and emotions living in the body are one of the root causes to this experience. And there are techniques that I teach that you can use for yourself and your children and babies as well. And you can teach to your children. So I teach these techniques to my daughter. And again, the shift that happens is so profound. When you gain the understanding that emotions can manifest in our physical and mental conditions, and by integrating and processing these emotions and the energies of those emotions, we are freed up for optimal health, vitality, and well-being. The emotions and the frequencies of those emotions can become trapped in our body, creating stagnation. They can cause pain, create symptoms, and have a profound and emotional and mental effect and are a huge underlying root cause. This is also the reason why people have different symptoms, because the emotions and the underlying energetics are different. So how do we get these trapped emotions? So like we mentioned in that nervous system regulation component, unsafety has been passed down through generations through epigenetics and our energetic blueprints from our ancestors, as well as the emotions and the energies of those emotions. And this can also be as well, again, birth trauma in the womb before that. So an example that I want to give is that in my history, my grandmother was alive and during World War II, and she was actually an adult with young children, and she was widowed at the time as well. So I can only imagine the stress. She was placed into a work camp with her children. Now, you can only imagine this experience of being there, a widow in a work camp, in a war zone, trying to protect your children, trying to keep yourself safe. I can already feel my nervous system starting to get dysregulated as I think of that experience. I feel my heart starting to beat faster. And so that experience of my grandmother's was passed down and lives within me. It lives within my mom, within me, and my daughter. And so this is a dramatic example, but I bet if you go back through your lineages, there's something like that as well that you can find. So what I've learned is that by working with this emotion and energy, I can integrate it and release the blocks and the stagnation that those emotions and energies have been playing within my body, have been affecting my body. And therefore, I'm helping my daughter, and I'm helping with the energetics help her through it as well and release it from her body. Put a 1 in the comments if that is so cool for you and it just connected a whole bunch of dots for you. And again, put a 2 in the comments if this is new for you. Because again, this was super new for me at one point, and now I see the power and the value in this. This is how we heal generations. This is how we work with lineages. And when we think of babies, they also pick up on our energies, our emotions. If there's conflict in the home, if there's resentment, if there's anger, anxiety, sadness, if there's stress, babies pick up on that. They can hold on to that and have symptoms present. So I use various strategies that as caregivers, we can use to move this energy and integrate it. And we do our work at the same time. And for the adults, right? Again, those wounds and traumas that we may have experienced in childhood, we might not have been able to process the strong and extremely scary emotions at the time because it literally felt like a threat to our survival. So we may have suppressed and repressed it. We may have downplayed it. And that's why sometimes we don't even remember it. And that's okay. We don't have to remember it. Because what happens is in that moment when our emotions are not processed fully, they become stuck in our field. And again, children, even babies, we can pick up these emotions and energies even from other people that may have been going through things. So the important thing to note is that you don't have to re-experience this to process it and integrate it. These techniques that I use, you just feel a release. You feel a weight lifted from you. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to do that. Now, when we are experiencing these things, we can also get these trapped emotions that are stuck in our body and our field beyond childhood, because even as teens and adults, especially when we're taught as little ones to suppress our emotions, and we may repress it without even knowing, right? So again, examples are being told not to cry as a child, being told that it's not okay to be angry, being shamed when we're having big emotions. When we learn this as a child, we have a propensity to continue this experience through adulthood. And we collect these trapped emotions daily. They can become trapped in our body and our physical body, but also our energetic field. And again, those of us that are sensitive and empathic, we can take others' emotions on as our own. And these emotions and frequencies can be stored in various areas or organs. And these are the root causes to so many signs, symptoms, and conditions, especially FPIES and food allergies. So when we identify the emotions that need to be integrated and the organs where it's held and release them, we see significant and easeful shifts in our state, our health, our wellness, and our well-being. These can be in the way of creating the life that we want in so many areas because it plays out, again, in relationships and parenting and business and career and family and fertility, physical conditions, etc. So many places. This pillar of the protocol is also so powerful and unique because we partner with the divine, with our higher power, with our spiritual connection, our higher self. We access wisdom and discover how to nurture this relationship with the divine. And there are many ways that we do this, which include divine muscle testing, which is an advanced form of kinesiology. Some of you may have heard of that. Intuitive eating, as well as practices to ground ourselves in trust and faith that in one way or another, this is working out for us. This is all happening for us. This is an example of the way I integrate Eastern and Western approaches and alternative practices for a truly holistic and integrative experience. This is the root cause of everything. When we see that we are energy and frequency, we realize that every single condition or symptom that we have has an energetic and emotional root. So depending on the unique symptoms that you experience, whether it is vomiting or shock or anaphylaxis or reflux or diarrhea or stomach pain, there is a unique emotional energetic for each. Put energy in the comments if this is an area that you just got a light bulb moment about. This is what made a huge shift in my health journey and my daughters and so many clients. And again, I'll send you the link for the emotional energetics class. And I want to mention this has been proven by science. This is quantum physics. And when we realize that, again, quantum physics shows that we are frequency and that everything is frequency, we start understanding how this works. So if you're ready to explore these emotional energetics, how they're underlying FPIES, click below for that special month of support package at 89% off at the regular price and get customized solutions for you. All right, pillar number 6, decoding the body's language. Your body communicates continuously. So when we learn to decipher its messages and address root causes rather than masking symptoms with Band-Aid solutions, everything changes. We can use how the body is presenting our signs and symptoms to give us clues and understanding of what the most important underlying root causes are and how to address them for each person. Can you feel the shift in energy around that? Put a 1 in the comments if you feel it and you like it. Because when we think of FPIES this way, right, we realize that the body is putting up a flag. Something is out of alignment, that we need to shift something, and our body's just communicating this to us. When we see our signs and symptoms as clues, we see them as beneficial and helpful on our journey, we no longer resist them. We enter a state of acceptance, of flow, of love, and we enter in union with our body as our ally. We no longer shun our body or see the signs and symptoms as bad. We understand that it is all good. In some ways, it is protecting us and it is here for us. There is a level of consciousness and awareness that we bring when we really start paying attention to our bodies and what they're communicating, and we allow this to guide in our decisions. Ultimately, our body is the gold standard when making health decisions. We're going to go over some decoding techniques in a minute, but I really want to emphasize this. Our body's responses to whatever we try is the gold standard. This is how our body communicates with us, and we need to listen to it. That's why when I work with clients, I partner with them on their health journey. I make recommendations based on evidence-based practice, which looks at the research. It takes into account my experiences and knowledge, my training and experiences that I've had working with other clients as well as personally, and your experiences as the client, because each client is their own ultimate judge. You are your own judge, and you make the final decision to do only what feels in alignment with you. This is one of the biggest differentiating factors when working with me compared to other practitioners who just give you a list of supplements or medication to take and send you on your way without checking in with how that feels for you or helping you work through it. I believe that we need to tap into our body's innate wisdom to access exactly what is in our highest and greatest good for us in any moment. We use divine muscle testing and learning the signs and symptoms that the body gives us to do this. Intuitive eating, there are at-home tests that I teach, as well as lab work. Sometimes we do need that skin prick test or certain labs. And this is all meant to empower you on your journey. This is the root cause of anything that you've tried in the past, and especially if it hasn't worked for you. It may not be bad, right? Whatever you tried, it just wasn't in alignment with you and your body and where you were on your health journey. So how powerful would it be to access this knowledge from within the body? How much would that change your FPIES experience? How much ease and joy would that bring to your life? And how much would that free up your precious resources of time, money, and energy? How would you be able to connect with your child differently? How empowered would you feel? And as caregivers and parents, we can do this for our child. So put decode in the comments if this is an area that you realize has been out of alignment with your FPIES journey so far. And I'll send you the link for the Decoding Your Body Masterclass. And again, if you're ready to discover the power of decoding your body and get to the root causes, shift from a state of confusion and overwhelm with FPIES to one of clarity and confidence, click below for that full month of support package at 89% off the regular price. Get customized solutions for you. So as we've gone through this whole protocol, some of you may feel overwhelmed. It's a lot. I get it. And I want you to know that with the system and guidance, in my guidance, we integrate this all beautifully. In every session and in resource, we touch on multiple, if not all of these aspects, and I guide you through a beautiful process of connecting the dots between the physical, the emotional, the mental, and beyond. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed because I make this easy for you. We have to address all of these things, but with clear steps and again, easy processes, it doesn't feel hard. So when we look at this protocol, what do you think is missing on your journey? What are aspects that you're doing really good at, and what are aspects that you need to learn more about? And how amazing would it be to have all of these pillars working together for you and your highest in health and wellness potential? How would that change your health experience? How much ease and joy would that bring to your life? And how would that change your relationship with your kids, with your partner, with your family member, with your friends? How would it impact your business, your career, your parenting, your finances? How much would that free up your precious resources of time, money, and energy? How empowered would you feel? Because it doesn't matter what elimination diets you've tried or the supplements that you've tried or even the energy work that you've tried. If it's not in alignment with your body and where you are on your journey, and if you're not addressing all of these pillars quantumly in a holistic and integrated way, then you may see some benefit, but you'll get stuck. And you may be dreading the experience that you're going through. Because it's all about alignment and working with these 6 pillars together integratively. It's all connected. And it's never just one thing like an elimination diet. And that's the reason why you may not be seeing healing or progress, especially if you're only focusing on 1 or 2 of these 6 pillars. It doesn't work that way. The body is holistic. It is quantum. It is a universe. That's why you may not have gotten results with other practitioners like an allergist because you've only been focusing on the elimination or taking a supplement or a medication. So we need to be addressing all 6 of these pillars of the underlying root causes. If this approach resonates with you, and again, you're ready to shift from overwhelm and confusion to clarity, certainty, and confidence, put Radiant in the comments and click below and get that discounted package with a month of support today. So before we go into the frequently asked questions, I want to spend some time on your next possible steps, because some of you want to take this information and figure it out on your own. And maybe you want to just work with an allergist. I'm here to support you no matter what. And that's absolutely okay if you want to do that. I've been there as well. And you're going to get so much benefit from the rest of the masterclass series and the resources I'm going to mention as well. And give you in that masterclass series. And some of you do want a little extra help. So that's why I have a whole YouTube channel with playlists specializing in various topics, especially lots of support for moms, breastfeeding moms, gut health, and more. So search Dr. Beata on YouTube and subscribe and check out the playlists. And you can also put YouTube in the comments and I'll give you the link. I also wrote a book on our experience, Breastfeeding Bliss. It is a supportive guide and our story in depth for those who really want that support. I also have resources for you and guided practices, and it is a transformational story and book because I get so much feedback of moms reading this and crying because they're experiencing the same thing. And this is not just for breastfeeding families. It is for anyone going on an FPIES or food allergy journey, because there are so many aspects, again, the emotional aspects and that feeling of knowing that you're not alone that are so important as well. So it is on sale on Amazon for the month of May for Food Allergy Month, or you can also get a signed copy on my website as well. And I also have that food elimination tracker and trial tracker. So put tracker in the comments if you want access to that. Now, for those of you who don't want to go through the trial and error, you don't want to make mistakes, and you want to get answers and solutions faster, again, I have this special offer. It's a full month of support. It includes a consultation, and this package is all-encompassing. You get a full assessment evaluation, the consult, one-on-one, multiple checkpoints throughout the month, community coaching, resources, and more so that we can create your custom protocol. And for those of you who've stayed with me to this point and are watching live or through, again, May 5th and National FPIES Day 2024, I have a special offer for you. I usually have a limited number of discounted consultation packages each month. And because you've been here with me, and my heart really goes out to you with your FPIES journey, I'm here to offer you an extra 10% off to take advantage of this limited time special until May 5th, 2024. Those of you who've registered, you'll get an email with the discount code shortly. And if you haven't registered yet, comment FPIES and I'll get you the registration link. With this full concierge support package, you feel like someone is holding your hand through the whole process. You get questions answered in real time, troubleshooting, Q&As, you get resources, community, private mini retreats, and healing incubators, and so much more. So what this looks like is once you go to the website and enter your information, right away you get a confirmation email, you get forms to fill out, and the link to schedule your consult. I spend a good amount of time going over these forms to identify what the root causes are and your history, so you want to make sure you fill those out before scheduling. And the consultations are on Zoom. They are private, and throughout the consult, I'll have follow-up questions for you based on what you filled out, and I'll hold space for you to share your experience, emotions of going through the process, so you can ask questions and more. And based on all this information, we'll come up with a plan together that is effective and feels good to you. Something that's not overwhelming and will give you enough to work through for the month, and will focus on what's most important. After the consultation, and actually before the consultation, right away, actually, you also will get access to the private community. You get access to me as well. So you get to email me questions. You get access to that private community and for questions and answers in there. You get access to the resources. You get an opportunity to connect with others. There are, again, 2 community coaching sessions. You get Q&As, troubleshooting. You get to ask me any questions that come up. Even if it's at 2 a.m, like I said, you can send me a message, send me an email, and know that I'm going to be working on it for you. I am here to support you and give you the care that I wish I had years ago. So towards the end of the month, we'll check in and have a short follow-up to fine-tune your experience. This is the concierge care that you get when we work together. And what's great about the Radiant Health and Wellness Program and protocol is that I like to make health and healing very fun and approachable to every aspect of your life. So the experience that you get when working together is comprehensive and complete concierge care. It's easy to apply. You get cheat sheets so you don't feel overwhelmed. You get your questions answered in real time. You get troubleshooting. You get to check in with me so we modify and tweak your experience based on your body's responses. This is what makes it so powerful and effective and different. So for those who are ready to address the root causes and transform their FPIES experience from confusion and overwhelm to one of clarity and confidence and calm, I have this consultation package that's 89% off with that full month of support. And again, an extra 10% off for those who are taking this fast action bonus. And it's for those who want to get results faster, who want to avoid mistakes, and who want to really learn and embody how to use these pillars for radiant health. So click below and get the results that you want and the support that you need now. So now I want to wrap up with a few frequently asked questions because we get these a lot. So is FPIES genetic? We touched on this earlier, and yes, there is a genetic component to it. And again, with epigenetics, we can influence the expression and activation of these genes. We can affect our experience. We can affect our health journey. We are not, doomed to our genes in any way. The next question that I often get is, can you react to any food? Yes, absolutely. So again, milk, soy, rice, oats are some of the more common ones, but you can react to anything. And like I mentioned, it's not just proteins. So you can react to an oil, you can react to a derivative. It is possible. And again, this is why some allergists aren't aware of this and may not be able to support you. Do food sensitivity tests work? That's another question that I get, because they're like, all right, if blood and skin tests don't work, does a food sensitivity work? So I say kind of. Honestly, food sensitivity tests are not very accurate and they don't give us a clear picture. So this can be helpful on your journey, and it is not the end all be all. There are so many other ways that we can use to, again, decode your body and see what you're reacting to, what you're not reacting to with at-home tests. Sometimes we do lab work. Sometimes we do recommend these, but I use this comprehensive approach. And again, blood and skin tests don't work for non-IgE and FPIES allergies. So next question that I often get is, do you grow out of it? So no. The answer is no, you don't grow out of FPIES. Now, some people say, well, yeah, my kid did grow out of it. 2 things may have happened, okay? The first thing is that the symptoms may have shifted. So when we talk about the emotions and energetics of these conditions and presentations, this can happen where, so maybe someone does have profuse vomiting to shock, and they go through an experience, okay? So, something happens where now they're not going vomiting to shock. They are actually, maybe they are having diarrhea, or maybe they now have eczema, etc. or maybe they now have sensory processing challenges or ADHD. So what it does is it can shift and present itself in different ways as we go through our journey and as our emotions and energetics change and as our physical body changes as well. So the second thing that can happen is a root cause can resolve. So again, something may happen where something shifts in one of the root causes. So this isn't growing out of it. This is a resolution of the root cause. So this can be gut health related. It can be nourishment related. It can be emotional and nervous system related. So I'll give you an example. So like I mentioned, one of the underlying root causes is this nervous system regulation and this emotional energetic of unsafety in food allergies and FPIES. So let's say it's a baby, right? And they're having these reactions. And then they start recognizing that, hey, I have this wonderful attachment with my mother. And whenever I cry, she's there for me. And, my mother and my caregivers really take good care of me. And this baby starts to feel safe within itself. It starts to regulate its nervous system and co-regulate with the parents. And as it grows up, it starts to do that, right? More and more. And maybe something energetically shifts, right? An emotion is released. Then the root cause can be resolved and they can, quote unquote, grow out of it. So that is how I see it and how I've seen it happen in myself and my daughter as well. Okay. And this is how the protocol and the pillars work when we work with root causes. So another question that I just want to address again, the difference between acute and chronic FPIES. So acute FPIES has a presentation. So 2 hours post-exposure, there's profuse vomiting, diarrhea, lethargy, dehydration, a low body temp, hypovolemic shock may happen, medical emergency, you need immediate medical care for that. Chronic FPIES has, again, still delayed reactions 2 hours after, but the symptoms can be nausea, intermittent or chronic vomiting, so not as much, right? Not crazy vomiting. It can be diarrhea with blood and mucus. It can be stomach pain, weight loss, failure to thrive. So again, often these can be misdiagnosed as a stomach bug, a food intolerance, etc. And these are different than IgE, anaphylactic food allergies. So these are some of the common questions that I get. Let me know what other questions you have in the comments. I will circle back and either get you resources and help you answer those as well. And again, one last invitation for those of you who are ready to address the root causes and transform your FPIES experience from confusion and overwhelm to one of clarity and confidence and calm. I have this consultation package. It's 89% off right now. You get an extra 10% off with the fast action bonus before May 5th of 2024. And this is for those who want to get results faster, who want to avoid mistakes, who want this clarity and confidence and support and expert guidance on their journey. Go ahead and click below, get that. And as always, I wish you and your loved ones all the best, and know that no matter what, you, your little one, anyone with FPIES can achieve radiant health and wellness with your body as your ally. I will see you on the next video.